So hello friends, I am Neeraj. In this session we are going to see something really very powerful and very interesting, and we will be talking about structs data structure. So they are actually very powerful, and they overcome the limitations of arrays and slices. So we have seen arrays, slices and maps. So but all the three, they are having a certain limitations, and limitations lies in the terms of that they can have only one single data type. So we cannot actually mix and match with multiple data types into single variable. So with the structs, actually we can have multiple values with different data types. So think of it like a student. So a student can have a name, it can have a age, it can have a date of birth, and that can be a date time. So that can have a fee. So what the student is having to pay, the balance fee, and we can have something like similar like active or inactive states. So we are having all different data types, and with arrays and slices or maps, so this is actually very difficult. So another way, so we have a structs. So structs makes the life much more easier, and we can encapsulate complex data structure into simpler variable, into one simple variable. So let us see how we can create and use a struct. So basically struct is a short form of a structure. So they are also, like, you can think of it like in object oriented programming. So we have classes and objects. So class is basically considered as a blueprint of our, where we can encapsulate our all the variables and functions. So similarly we can encapsulate our all the data structure, complex data types of that variables and other stuffs. So let us see how we can create it. So we can create a structure with the keyword with the help of keyword type, and after type, all we have to provide the name of the struct which we are going to create. So let us say we are going to create a student struct, followed by the struct keyword, and now we have already created, and we can specify the actual variable, actual fields actually what this struct is going to have. So let's say a student can have a name, and that name can be a string. So here we have to specify the actual field and its data types. So name is a string, and let's say age, and age would be a integer, and let us say also have a fee that is going to be a float 64, and also let us see have a variable of a boolean type that is going to denote whether the student is active or inactive. So we have created our first struct, and this is basically a blueprint, and all we have to do is to create the actual student record. So let us have a variable st, and we will create a for example, say we can have a different data types like for slices and maps and other stuffs. So here we will say we are going to let me write it first, and later on I'll explain it out. So here all we are trying to do is basically in the st variable we are assigning our own data type into our st variable. So likewise we have already created our struct, and if we try to print it out, so fmt.println, and if we say our student record, and we will pass our st variable, and now if we try to run our program main.go, so here a student, we are getting the student record, and since a string is initialized to empty string, and integer and floats are initialized to 0, so that is why 0 0, and boolean is always initialized with the false. So that is why we have already created our student record, and now we can assign the values with the dot notation. We can actually access the underlying elements of the under the student under the student struct with the dot notation. So let's say we are trying to assign name is equal to Neeraj and st dot age equal to, let's say, 30, and let me duplicate it out a few times, and here let's say fee would be, let's say, 100.60, and let's say is equal to this one is active equal to true. Now if we try to run our program again, so we will see a full-fledged student record, and very simply and very easily, very neat and clean way. So here our student is having we have already we are already having different data types, like we have a string, integer, floats and booleans into one single variable, right? So this is one way of initializing, and however there is another way also. So we can also, like during with this, when we can initialize here also. So we can specify here, so name is, let's say, Neeraj, a comma, age is, let's say, 30, and let's say fee is 50.50, and let's say is active equal to, let's say, true. And let us comment it out here, and now also if we try to run it, so we are getting the same output. Okay, so this is one way. This way also we have seen, and once we have created it, so we can also always override the values also. Let's say we try to write the full name. So if we try to run it, so here our name has been changed. So this is pretty simple, and this is one way. And also, like, let us understand how we can embed our struct, so because that is also a very powerful thing. So let us also create another struct. Let's say we are going to have a struct for storing addresses. So address can have, let's say, address, and that is going to be a string, and let's say we are going to have a zip code, that is going to be a integer. Okay, so now let us create a actual object of this address struct. So we'll say address, and we will initialize it. So we will say address is, say, Delhi, and zip code equal to, that would be 201010. Let us save it. So here we have created one struct, and we are going to embed that struct into our student record, right? So since we have created, and now we can also embed here, so we can specify address, and that would be our variable will initialize to 80, provide 80. Now if we try to run our program, so we are getting the Neeraj is the name, age is 30, fee is 50.5, true, and this is basically this is coming from the address struct. Okay, and this is, and if we are trying to initialize with all the fields of that struct, so we can omit this names also. So we can also initialize like this. So this is also perfectly okay, pretty valid. So same output, nothing wrong. There is nothing been changed. And also if we can access the elements of the struct independently also, like this. So st dot name, and we can also access the value of the embedded structs also. Let's say we are trying to access the zip code of the students. So all we have to do is st dot, and our field name was address, so we will say address, and inside address we are trying to access the zip code like this. So if we try to run our program, so here we are getting the zip code of the student, and here we are getting the name of the student, and this is the full student record. So I think you have understand that structs are really very powerful, and there is one more thing which is very important with the struct, that we can have specific methods, functions attached to a struct as well. But since that is an advanced concept, and till now we have not learned functions, so first we will learn functions, and then only we will see how we can attach functions with the structs. And that would basically the moment we will do that stuff, so basically that would be full-fledged, like we can create we can create an class and objects kind of thing. So structs are so much powerful and very easy. So just don't be, I think like you don't have any query or any, however at first it looks to be a little complex, but believe me, there is nothing such, and it is pretty simple. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and if you have any questions, so please do let me know, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. So till then, take care and happy coding.